So what I basically did was hit pause and skip forward 3 seconds, and now I'm recording on a new video. So I'm going to go ahead and dispense with the formalities and just keep on where I was talking at. When you're sleeping on a hard surface, it tends to suck out the heat from your body. Concrete, stone, and ground being the very worst. It can be 110 degrees nighttime. That ground will still suck up all your body heat. And trust me, I've lived through this. It is not pleasant. And especially in winter. The best thing you can do is put some kind of padding down. Whenever I was camping, I had a tarp underneath the tent itself, with its little plastic bottom. I had a sleeping bag or a tarp laid out on the bottom of the tent. And one year it was a tarp, the next year it was a sleeping bag because I couldn't find a tarp. So, then I had several blankets. The more layers you can put between you and the ground, the better. And in some cases, I just folded the blankets over and slept on top of those with my toes on the ground, because I can pull my toes up anytime. I can't sleep in the air, so. If you're in a cold area, sorry, I'm just looking at stuff all over the place. If you're in a cold area like the mountains or in the northern part of America, Canada, anywhere that gets really cold during wintertime, you probably know a good sleeping bag is worth than 10 crappy ones. And as much as I hate to say it, mummy or tight-fitting sleeping bags aren't the best idea. Your body heat will warm the air that's inside the sleeping bag and help keep you warm. Me, I have a nice big sleeping bag a friend gave me, and it's rated down to 50 degrees, which is a good summertime sleeping bag. The only problem is, when I was sleeping on the floor of the tent, I would still be cold. And it took me a while to understand that it was the ground that was sucking the heat from me, not because it was cold at night. It was like 40 degrees at night. It was not that cold. I say too much. Okay, let me try this without saying The wind's blowing. Okay. The main thing is just try and keep layers between you and the ground at all times. It's not the best situation to be in, sleeping on the ground, but if you can get like leaves, twigs, dirt, layered up, it's some kind of protection. It's better than nothing. People use bamboo. I've seen some people build little tiny cots about half a foot off the ground and stick leaves under it. And that works too. In a blackout situation, I have blankets and stuff that I use, make a pad on the ground, since I'm usually in hardwood or stone or concrete kind of living situation, or even linoleum. If I have to, I just put my sleeping bag on the ground, fold it over, and sleep on that. If it's cold outside, I have layers on top. If it's warm, I just have a sheet or I leave the sleeping bag open with a couple of the folded blankets open so that if I get cold, I can just cover up. And one of these days I'll get around to actually doing demonstrations, but I don't have the room right now to do that. Another thing, if you're driving and there's a blackout, it means that you're just that much more dangerous, because the stop signs, while they work, if there are a lot of lamp lights or street lights, if it's dark already out and the street lights are on and they go out, it can be very disorienting and startling at first part of it. I don't have that much experience driving with no lights, so I try and stick in town. There, if you're in the middle of heavy traffic and the light goes out, just slowly pull off to the side. Make sure clear your side and rear view mirrors. Make sure there's not a car coming up on the side of the road, and just pull to the side of the road. If it is any kind of glitch in the system, he'll come back up shortly. If a blackout happens and you're driving, make your way. Like I said, have a plan. When a blackout happens during the day, have a plan for that too, because it's good to know, because if a blackout happens, cell towers sometimes go down too. Not always, but sometimes they do. I know people are fearing this giant coronal mass ejection, which is basically a big solar flare. I know some people are fearing that a nuclear blast detonated high in the atmosphere can cause an electromagnetic pulse, otherwise known as an EMP. And those are good fears. CME can knock out basically most electronics. A phone, it can be knocked out easily by an EMP. I mean, I'm not just saying that, oh, it's not making calls. It can fry a system. CMEs are actually, when they get into the atmosphere, act a lot like EMPs. And it's very frustrating. If you have no way to communicate with your family, then you need to already have a plan in place. Who's going where? If your city is big, like Chicago or something, have designated places close by that if something happens, people can check for you there. My town is not that big, and my mom and sister did not believe in having a plan in place, but my friends did. So we had a basic layout of the city, and we figured out where most likely we were going to be. And right in the middle of that, we said, okay, if something happens and we're anywhere around here, we can go to this place. And while we never actually had to use it, it was nice knowing that if something happened, we could go to this place and meet up and go from there. Gosh darn it. Sorry guys, my allergies is acting up. Somebody cut grass this morning. There are a multitude of plans. It could be as simple as, if something happens, go home and wait for further instructions. Wait for it to get back to normal. I know that when I was in school, somebody cut the power line that connected the school to the electrical grid, and we spent the rest of the school day in complete dark, total darkness. I was prepared. Back then, even, I decided that I was going to be prepared for any kind of eventuality, so I made sure to have a flashlight. Aside from myself and the janitors, there were only 2 or 3 teachers that had a flashlight. The emergency lights worked for about 10-foot radius, and they did not have that many. So I sat in the library reading books while everybody else was panicking and didn't know what to do because they couldn't see. But boy, oh boy, they refused to cancel school. And I had a plan in place. I had books, I had a flashlight, and I was about 2 blocks away from my house. Since it wasn't the entire town that went black, went dark, what have you, I decided it wasn't really worth going home. And at the end of the school day, my mom's like, "So what'd you do today?" And I said, "Oh, sat and read in the dark." And she just stared at me. She didn't know the power had gone out. But it boils down to have a plan set in place, and practice it if you can. I know a lot of people don't like practicing because they think, oh, it's extreme, it'll never happen, and then when it does, they're lost. If a blackout happens, have a plan in place, know how to do the plan. Security, for anything longer than 3 days, 3 days is when people start panicking. They're running low on food because on average the household only has 2 or 3 days worth of food at any given point in time. 4 or 5 days is when people start rioting, trying to look for food, looting, stuff like that. Gosh, darn it. Back to basics. If you have cans, have a can opener that you do not need to plug in, because a knife is very dangerous to have. Trying to open cans, you cut yourself, cut a finger off, stuff like that. Have emergency food, granola bars, meal bars, snacks, stuff like that. Pudding, comfort food helps. Peanut butter and jelly. You don't have to refrigerate the jelly afterwards, because I found that refrigerating it just makes it that much harder to spread. I mean, I've eaten it unrefrigerated my entire life, and I've never had a problem with it. Have a way to cook, have a way to see. Just try and be prepared, because the more prepared you are, that just means that many less people that are panicking and trying to loot and ultimately getting in trouble, getting in a situation where they could be assaulted, or even jailed or killed. And that just makes it that much easier. And prepping and gathering food is, I know I say food a lot, but the 3 main survival is shelter, water, and food. And that is the 3 most important things. So I will be going back to that a lot. And don't be surprised if I mention that in every single video. I'm going to go ahead and end it here. Do me a favor, drop a like, subscribe, drop a comment, share, do whatever. And have a good day. Be safe.